Hello friends, in this video we will look at the math concepts behind decision trees, how decision trees determines which is the better way to split different conditions that it takes, and how can it form a more efficient decision trees, right? So the source of all these formulae is actually from the official scikit-learn documentation. So I'm just trying to represent here and putting all of them together in one place, right? So the first one here to be aware of is primarily we are trying to split the nodes, right, from one node into multiple nodes, right? So in a mathematical representation, let us say the node m, for node m we are actually calling it as qm, right? Qm is actually for the node m, all the samples is represented as qm, right? And you want to split it into nodes left and right, so we want to take it into two different splits based on a condition theta, right? So again, this is a lot of mathematical jargon, bear with me here, but it's really important to understand how these are measured and represented mathematically, so that you can choose the right criterion, and that way it will be really useful. So I'm just trying to explain what this jargon is, and then we can also try to superimpose it on the practical example. So again, so we're trying to split this node m having nm number of samples, right, into two different subnodes, q left and q right, with condition theta. Now what is this condition theta? The condition theta is nothing but the the condition that we used on a particular feature. Let's say we call it feature j, and with threshold tm, right? So threshold is nothing but, like in the previous example we have seen, for the iris flower data set, we have seen that the petal length is a condition, right? That's, you can consider it as feature j, excuse me. And threshold is nothing but that value that we have taken, like less than or equal to 2.45 as a threshold value we have taken, right? So that's theta. So that is how we actually represent the split, right? So q left and q right would be, q left is from the overall samples x and y, choose those samples where xj is less than or equal to tm. Remember, j is the feature, right? So the feature j has a value less than or equal to tm, and that's the values that we consider into left, right? And right is nothing but from the overall set of values we exclude what is there in left, so that becomes the right. So that's how the split is represented. Now the next formulas will give us some more clarity on how this split is more efficient, right? So again, like, we'll try to also visualize it with the tree, so I'm just trying to put that on the right. So the purpose of the split, the quality of the split, is measured by something called as loss or impurity function h, right? So there are different loss or impurity functions that will come up next, but the purpose of loss function is again to ensure that our split is efficient, right? So it will try to consider different features, the different thetas on feature and threshold values, and measure the overall loss. And if this is the minimal, it will choose the split based on whatever is producing the most information gain, that means the least loss, right? So we will look at the h functions, but for the left and right split, right? So when you do a left split, you get this n left is nothing but the number of samples in the left node, and n right is the number of samples in the right node, right? So we are taking a weighted proportion of the loss function, right? Let us suppose, now for now think that there is something that is, there is a measure called loss function. So that loss function we will do on the left node after the split, and right node after the split as well. So we measure the loss of left node and loss of right node, and we will take a weighted proportion, and we'll sum that up, right? So n left by nm is the total number of samples in the parent node, right? nm left is the left node number of samples, and nm right is the right node number of samples. And h of the q left theta, this is nothing but for the left node what is the loss. So that is what we will now look at, some of the different loss functions. But otherwise, this is how the overall loss is calculated, and that is represented as g here. That overall G, you can think of it as the overall purity of the node of qm comma theta, right? And the overall goal for us is find the theta that is going to result in the minimum value of this, right? Okay, let's move further. Now we look at some of the loss functions. So the very first thing is we will try to understand, we'll first have to have a probabilities of different classes here, right? So in this particular example, as you can see, there are 4 different classes of outputs, right? For each class we want to first find a probability. So right, I think it's pretty straightforward, but it is represented this way. The formula nm is the number of samples. So overall, we have about 24 kind of samples here, and the number of values of a particular class k, right? So here we have 4 classes, 1 2 3 4. So let's say we're talking about plus here. So for the plus, we're considering 1 by 24 into the sum of the occurrences of that particular value, which we're considering plus here. So we have about 6 of them here. So 6 by 24 is 1 by 4, right? So that's the probability of this particular sample. So like that we determine the probabilities of all the different classes, and that is one of the prerequisite for measuring the loss, right? And then we have multiple types of losses, right? Again, there are 3 types in fact. The first one is Gini impurity. So the way Gini impurity works is, now that we have measured the probability of each class, right? So what it will do is it will multiply that probability with into 1 minus that probability. So with that multiplication, it will, that is for one particular class. So it will sum that up for all the classes, right? So in this case, we have 4 different classes. For all the 4 classes, it will measure the PM into 1 minus PM, right? And then it will sum that up. So that will give you the impurity of the node, right? So the impurity is supposed to be the least, right? If there is only one node, it will become 0. Essentially, because 1 minus the probability of, if it is only one type of sample that's available, so the probability for that is 1, right? So 1 into 1 minus 1, it will anyway become 0, and that's what we want. So we want to ultimately end up in a node which is only having one particular sample, but for the higher level nodes, the impurity is always higher, right? So this is one way of representing the impurity. Now let us say you are now splitting. So when we are splitting, we will measure the impurity on the split condition. We will measure the impurity of this and impurity of this, right? And our goal is to reduce the level of impurity compared to the parent node. Let's say parent node has got an impurity x. That value, that whatever we computed using this function, let's say it has got x here. Now when you split, you want to consider that it should reduce. The value of x for this, the value of x for this should reduce, right? And you will now try that with multiple such split conditions, and you will choose the condition, or rather the algorithm would choose the condition for whichever split it has got the least value, right? So that's how the loss function would be computed for one possibility, which is called Gini impurity, which is very, very common way. And in fact, this is the by default decision tree uses this particular algorithm for purity measurement. Now another such function is entropy. Again, this is logarithmic in nature, but again the purpose is the same. We want to reduce the cardinalities. That means the impurity level should reduce. So again, this is slightly variant in terms of the formula. Instead of 1 minus probability here, we are choosing logarithmic. But these things work, one form works better in one case, another form works better in another case, but both of them are considered good for measuring the impurity of the nodes, impurity of this or the efficiency of the split as well, right? And then misclassification. So misclassification is also another measure. Again, these 3 are interchangeably used. So you can also consider them as 3 different options that can be considered when we are training the decision trees, and we will form different trees and we'll pick the best one, right? So this is also called as hyperparameter tuning, right? In some cases, if there are multiple possible values for criteria or other tuning parameters, we will we will measure the performance of the model by considering all different values, and then we will pick the best one, right? So likewise also these impurities also, we have three different options. The last one is nothing but the level of misclassification when we do a split, right? So let's say when we do a split here, so we are having two possible classes here, right? And what is the probability of the highest number of cardinality here? So based on that, whatever is the maximum probability, you subtract it, so that will give us the misclassification, right? So again, we want to reduce the misclassification, so that the misclassifications will be reduced only when you have lesser number of cardinalities here, right? So let's say you only have one node. Now in that case, 1 minus 1 is 0. So that's the highest probability that you are getting at. So overall, the purpose of all these three here is to, as you are considering, as the algorithm is considering different feature conditions to split the data, it will apply these conditions before splitting. I mean, when that split is considered, it will get the left and right values. It will measure the performance for the loss functions for both of them, and then it will do the weighted average that we have seen in the previous function, right? The weighted average for left and the weighted average for right with this loss function, and then it computes the sum, right? That gives the measure of the split, the measure of the impurity of the split, and then it will take the next condition, it will measure for that, and it will compare these two, right? So like that, as many conditions as the algorithm considers, it will choose the best theta that is leading to the least least impurity overall, right? So which is also called information gain. That means you are gaining more clarity. So that is what is information gain in terms of classification, right? So this is what I was talking about, the weighted proportion. Once you computed the loss, then we are using a weighted for left and right, and then we are summing it up, right? So this is the loss functions background for classification. And we also know that there is another type of decision trees, which is regression, right? So regression is nothing but it's not a problem of classifying into one or two classes, but it is a problem of predicting a continuous variable, right? So over there, the loss functions are different. Again, that is also decision tree, but the way the things are measured is different. So some of them is mean squared error, right? So mean squared error is nothing but first of all, you have all the y values. Y values are nothing but output values, right? In the tree example we have seen earlier, those were classes, so different classes, so they won't have they are not suitable here. But if you have numerical values, you take the average and you take the mean of it, right? And for every value once you split, right, if you consider a split, you have a subset, you have a sub node. In that, you subtract mean from each of the resulting value, and you sum that up and you do a average of it with some number of samples, right? So that's called the mean squared error, right? So you want to consider a split that produces the least mean squared error, right? This is one way of measuring the efficiency of split for regression problems, right? And likewise, there is another possibility called half Poisson deviance, right? Half Poisson deviance, it works with with a logarithmic equation. Again, another possibility of measuring the efficiency of split using y into log y by ym bar. So which is nothing but this is the mean, right? Minus y plus ym bar, and then you are going to sum them up. For each y value, you're going to calculate all this post split, and again you want to choose a split that is leading to the minimal loss, right? And another such possibility is mean absolute error, right? So mean absolute error, it's slightly close to this, but instead of squaring it up, it is only going to consider the difference and the absolute of it, right? The difference of the y value and the mean value. Sorry, it's not mean, actually it's median, right? Here it is going to consider the median. So median, as you know, it is the 50 percentile. It is exactly, if we sort all the samples of y, the value at the right center is median, right? So that median value is taken, and then it will be subtracted from the y, and that absolute error, it will be summing up for all the different y values, and it will take an average that is supposed to be minimal, right? So again, there is no silver bullet saying you have to use MSE or you have to use half Poisson deviance. It really works well for some classes of data, and then another algorithm or another loss function might work better. So these are in general can be considered as hyperparameters, where you want to generate different models by using these types of loss functions, either for regression or for classification. Use one of these loss functions and then arrive at a best decision tree. The overall objective here is we want to arrive at a best decision tree that can produce the right prediction, right guess with the least number of depth, right? You don't want to really overfit because you don't want to go too specific to the problem, to the training data, so that the decisions and the conditions taken are very much specific to the training data itself, right? So we want to produce a generalized model, making the best use of all these loss functions, so that the overall model comes out to be quite well, right? So if you remember, going back to our tree that we have seen in the previous video as well. So here they have used Gini here, right? So Gini has produced 0.0667, right? So using that same formula that we have seen for Gini, right? So using the same formula, the value that is at the root node is 0.667, right? But when they split, when one of the node is producing a clear classification here, right? So that is clearly having only one class of values. The Gini for that is 0, right? We have achieved highest purity for that particular node. So then that classification is clean. Now in the second node, if you can see, the Gini here is definitely less than the root node here. It was 0.667 here and it is 0.5, right? So this is efficient for sure. But maybe, is there a better split? Or if it would have taken, instead of petal length 2.45, if it has taken a better different threshold value, would it produce a better Gini? That's what the algorithm really measures, right? And is it only about petal length, or if it takes petal width as a classification, would it produce better Gini and better classification or better information gain? Then it would go for it, right? So it will look at all such conditions, and then it is going to arrive at the best possible path, and produces the overall decision tree, right? So that's a quick background about all the concepts that we need to understand and grasp, so that when we go about implementation, things are much more clear, and it would be easy to understand. It would be also easy to experiment, right? So now that we know there are different types of loss functions for classification, for regression, right? So we can experiment with different possibilities, and then we will see how to build the best decision trees, right? I hope you found this video useful. So I'm going to look at we will meet in the next video with the practical implementation. Thank you.